Hello creative mind, welcome back to my channel. On here I share sewing tutorials, sewing hacks and everything fashion related, and on today's project I'm going to be learning how to make this beautiful keyhole neckline for a corset dress. Okay, if this is what you like to learn, kindly stick with me and let's get right into the tutorial. So I've gone ahead to draft my pattern, including my bust point, my under bust, my waistline and my top length. So I've also gone ahead to include my starting line at the top, so I'm just going to relabel it so you can see clearly. So next we're going to go ahead and draft our shoulder line just as I've done. Then I'm also going to measure it down here to get my armhole line, which is going to serve as my chest line. To get your chest line is your round bust divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. Okay, so I'm going to mark what I have at the top part for my shoulder line down there so I can have accurate measurement. And I'm going to include my neckline measurement. I use 3 by 3 inches. Okay, and I'll draw a curve just as seen. So next I'm going to be imputing my nipple to nipple measurement, which is 3.5 inches. I'm going to do this all the way down to my top length, and I'm going to connect with a straight line just as seen. So the next step is for us to go in with our dart. So I'm be coming out by half an inch. I'll be going on the other side by 1 inches. That is a total of 1.5 inches for the dart. You can do 2 inches if you like. Okay, depends on your preference. I'm going to connect this all the way to my under bust with a straight line. Then I'm going to be connecting it with a curve to my bust point just as seen. Okay, I'll do this for the other side as well. So next I am going to be dividing what I have at my shoulder by 2, and I'll mark the midpoint. Then I'll connect it with a line to my chest line with my curved rule just as seen. The line should not be so curvy and it should not be too straight as well. Okay, then I'll go down by 1 inch my shoulder slope and I'll connect it to my neck line. Okay, so next I'm going to be imputing my round bust measurements divided by 4. Then I'll be adding 1 inches allowance. I'm going to also go ahead and divide what I have at that point by 2, come in by 1/4 of an inch, and I'll connect it straight to my round bust measurement that I measured to get my armhole curve. Okay, so I'm going to mark what I have there at my bust point as well. Then I'm going to measure what I have, my under bust measurements. I'll mark it there and I'll take out the 1.5 inches for my dart and I'll replace it and include my 1 inches for my allowance. I'm going to also do the same for my waistline. I'm going to mark my waistline and include the 1.5 inches and replace it, then add 1 inches allowance as well. I'll do the same for the top length and I'll connect all these lines just as seen. Okay, so I'm also going to be so the next step now is to get where we want our keyhole neckline to start from. So for my chest line I went up by 1.5 inches and I drew a line just as seen. Then I'll come out by 1 inches and 1 inches on the other side just to give it an over bust tightening. I'll connect it a little down to my bust points just as seen. I'll also mark this with a marker so you can also see it clearly. All right, so that side is going to be taken out and this other side as well. So next I'm going to be going out at my bust point by half an inch, which is not a standard. You can do 1 inches depending on your preference, and I'm going to connect it with a curve to my under bust just as seen, and I'll also curve it up as well to that 1.5 inches I drew up just as seen. Then my nipple to nipple measurement, which is 3.5 inches, I'll add half an inch, which is going to be 4 inches, and I will mark it just as seen. Then I'll connect with a curve to my under bust as well, and I'll connect it like so. All right, you can see how beautiful our cup has formed. All right, so next I'm going to go down by 1.5 inches for my neckline. Then I'm going to go out at that point by 1 inches and connect it. This is just to get our keyhole neckline effect. Okay, so just do as seen, and I'm also going to be connecting it so you can see. So this part is going to be our front yoke. Go ahead and label your cup 1 and 2, and also mark it so you don't get confused. So at the down part, I'm going to be going up by 4 inches, which is not a standard. It depends on how you want the style line to come up. Then I'll connect it straight down to the other end of my center front. Okay, so next we are going to work. You can decide to draw out a style line for that other side, but as a beginner, I would suggest you just cut it out like this and include your style line later when cutting or when sewing your outfit. Okay, so next I'm going to go ahead and cut out. All right. Ensure that you do not rush when cutting, so you don't end up cutting the parts that you'll be needing for this dress. Okay, if you are yet to follow and if you are yet to subscribe, kindly do so by clicking on the subscription button and also turning your notification bell so you'll be notified whenever I post new tutorials. Okay, so just go ahead and cut as seen. Like I said, if you want this to be a 3-part corset, at that point where I wrote 2, you can decide to divide it into 2 and make a little bit of a dart, then you connect it. But as a beginner, I would suggest you just leave it that way and cut out your fabric. So this is what it looks like. Okay, so we'll go ahead now and we're going to go and draft the back pattern for this. All right, also don't forget to also label the yoke parts. Label it front yoke so that you don't get confused with the back yoke as well. Okay, so for the back pattern, I've gone ahead to draw my armhole line. I've gone ahead to insert my bust point and my chest line. So now I'm going to be going down with my nipple to nipple measurements just as we did for the front pattern. Okay, I'm going to be connecting this with a straight line just as seen. Then at the down part, I'm going to be going out by half an inch on both sides, and I'm going to be connecting it with a straight line for my dart. Okay, just as seen. So next I'm going to be imputing my round measurements. That's my round bust, my round waist, my round top length, which is going to be my round hip measurement, and I'm going to be connecting all this line with a straight line. Okay, I'm going to also replace the darts that I took out, just like I did for the front pattern. I'll go ahead and replace the dart as well. Then I'm going to be connecting all this line with a straight line just as seen. Okay, so I'm going to be drawing out this with a marker so you can also see it clearly. Then I'm going to be drawing my neck measurement of 2 inches, and I'm going to be connecting it just as seen. So I did 2 inches by 3 inches here. Okay, then I'll go out by 2 inches and I'll connect it with my free hand to where my darts, to where I measured my nipple to nipple measurement just as seen, and that will be our yoke for the back. Okay, so at the other part, I'm going to be measuring out 2 inches. This is for my style line for the back. Okay, this 2 inches is not a standard. You can do 1.5 or even 3, depend on your preference. Okay, then I'm going to be going out with a little dart. This is just for a little bit of tightening for the back, half an inch on both sides. Then I'll be connecting it like so. Okay, so for our loop part, I'm going to be going from my center back. I'll go out by 2.5 inches. This 2.5 inches is not a standard. You can do 2 inch or you can do more than that. It depends on how wide you want the loop area to be. So this part I'm going to be taking out completely. Okay, so just go ahead and rule a straight line just as seen. All right, and I'm going to be taking that part totally. Then I'm going to be closing up my darts for my 1, then I'll label for my 2 as well. So now I'm just going to cut out. Just watch closely how I'm cutting this out. I'm going to cut ½ inch at the top. This is going to serve as my joining allowance for my shoulders. Okay, so this part that I'm cutting is going to be taken out totally. We are not going to be needing it. This is the part that will be open at the back. All right, so I'm going to open up my darts just as I've done, and I'm going to close it up like this. Okay, so I'm going to tape it down, so when I'm drawing it on my fabric it will be taped down. Okay, so this will serve as our 1 for the back. I'll cut out my second part. Okay, and take out the darts. That is the tightening I did for it. All right, so this is what it should look like. Okay, I hope you learned 1 or 2 from this channel. Don't forget to follow, like and share. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next. Bye.